Do they still sell this candy? That commercial looks really old.
This program
give me one more minute,
please.
please. I'm gonna wash my hands.
To some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Everything's closed. My name is Erica. I'm 28 and I live in Las Vegas.
Recently, I moved back in with my parents, 2 of my siblings, and my 3-year-old daughter, Iris.
Erica's the oldest of the 4 siblings. She's always trying to comfort people and make them food. She's super sweet.
I have a pretty normal home life. Only difference is that I use cocaine, heroin, and Xanax.
On top of whatever else Erica's taking, she's also prescribed methadone. I don't think Erica will admit to me that she's using more than Xanax.
It's only a matter of time before she comes up with a mixture of things that could be deadly for her, which is really the scary part for me.
The paper notes sometimes Erica solves new photographs of herself.
I've noticed she's lost a few teeth.
Her skin isn't looking as good as it was.
She's also lost a lot of weight, and I don't think she realizes how obvious it is to everyone else.
Anytime I see a picture of Erica when she was younger, it makes me sad. See how she is today.
Growing up as the firstborn to traditionally Mexican parents was a lot harder on me than my siblings just because my parents were super strict with me.
He kept asking me to sneak out to see him, and I eventually decided to just lie. And I went to his house, and he took advantage of me. I was definitely shocked by what happened because I thought we were both kids, but he was just stronger than me.
Did you know of any sexual abuse as a child or a teenager?
I don't remember any sexual abuse happening to Erica.
I couldn't tell anybody because I wasn't even supposed to be. After I was raped, I just started keeping to myself a lot more.
But after 2 years, I started having.
You guys ever watch these on A&E? It's called Intervention.
I usually watch. It's like, what is it called? White belly, I think it's called.
Oh,
Or something
soft
like that.
white
Soft-
underbelly?
Yeah, that. I usually watch that one.
Why is it called soft white underbelly?
I don't know. But some of the stories on there be
My cat has a soft white underbelly,
really
but that's
interesting.
yeah. Huh. Okay. Did you want me to plug it into your computer or try to pull it here?
Mhm.
Okay. Because that way, does yours have a plug like this?
The HDMI.
That's it. Yep. Some of them do, some of them don't. I think the food pantry is giving out food today too. If you guys know
They
that.
are. I just drove past it.
Anything good?
I don't know.
It's open to all of us. Like I used to go help out, and then they would give us all the leftovers at the end. You can go this way. Hey, did it work? It should. If it does that weird. You would think it would. If not, if you turned it in on D2L, I can try to pull it up here too.
I did mine on campus, so in order to do that, how would I?
You probably would turn in, like, at least in the comments, a link to it. Or do they sometimes download it? What is Canvas? Is that the...
I think the HDMI cord keeps making the get it out.
Yeah, sometimes
You
it,
figure
like,
out, I don't want to break it.
sometimes it takes over.
You want me to wait a little bit?
Let's try, okay, if it's plugged in, let's try, I'll try different. Just switch them and see if that works. It is funny that it's like, is that usually a link that's open to anybody on Canvas?
I think so.
Because if so, you could always turn it in this way. And I can pull it up here. Ouch. I'm getting old. Ooh. Because it does appear to show nothing for me either. Look at that. Maybe it needs to be HDMI too.
Okay. Okay.
Now it's all upset in general. Like it won't show us anything.
Oh, that's because I'm. Oh, wait, you got it.
Like, did we unplug it though? Man. When I see a light still flashing, I totally had it rolling. Is this thing touch screen? Oh, there it is.
I just submitted both, one as a comment and then one. I put it under the in class.
The in-class presentation? Okay. We can do that. See if it's under the. So it should just be like, boom. Yes, maybe. No, yes. I don't use that one as much, so I don't know how you need it to look, but that should work.
Okay. I picked social anxiety, as you see. My name's Classy, and yeah. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I'm terrible at presenting, so bear with me.
You're doing awesome.
Okay. Social anxiety is a mental illness marked by severe and ongoing fear of social settings where someone constantly worries. About what, you may ask? About being analyzed, judged, or simply being embarrassed. In their eyes, it's crippling and a very overwhelming feeling that affects the day-to-day and can affect their relations in different aspects of life. Social anxiety goes beyond just being shy or being afraid to speak in public. It can cause an intense amount of anxiety mixed with fear. It affects things simple as meeting new people, job interviews, answering questions in class, and even interacting with cashiers. It can dictate where or how someone eats, or drink, or getting up to go to the bathroom because of feelings like humiliation and judgment. Where does anxiety come from? That's not the title, but this is basically the information for it. Some studies have shown that it can develop in childhood and gradually get worse in adulthood. 9.1% of adolescents may experience social anxiety, with it being higher in females compared to males. An estimate of 12.1 adults in the U.S. experience it at some point in their lives. And I also decided to look at the statistics in college students because I believe social anxiety is heavily overlooked, especially in college students. So here's a pie chart basically showing the different aspects of social anxiety, like self-avoidance, criticism anxiety, self-depreciation. I believe that's how you pronounce that.
It was like
Deprecation.
That might be it.
I've never heard of the
You're
word,
fine.
but yeah, that's it.
Like you make fun of yourself.
Yeah.
I suck at this.
Some contributing factors are genetics. Sorry, it can be passed down genetically. Someone's brain chemistry, the influence of their environment, negative experiences such as being bullied or constantly criticized, the use of technology such as like beauty standards and stuff like that, financial standards. It could be used as a coping mechanism towards trauma or other mental illnesses, or or it can be a product of loneliness and social isolation. And then I do have a quick video for y'all to watch real quick.
Let me guess, you're thinking about going to therapy. And as a therapist myself, of course I'm going to say that's a great idea.
Everyday social situations. To avoid meeting new people. These are all trademark signs of social anxiety, which affects approximately 15 million people in the United States alone. Social anxiety disorder is classified as a significant amount of fear, embarrassment, or humiliation in social or performance-based situations. It goes far deeper than mere shyness. Where shyness is more of a personality trait, social anxiety disorder can cause significant disruption of your daily life. Before we begin, we would like to mention that this video is created for educational purposes only and is not intended to substitute a professional diagnosis. If you suspect you may have social anxiety disorder or any mental health condition, we highly advise you to seek help from a qualified mental health professional. With that said, here are 9 things that social anxiety makes us do. 1. Repeatedly double-checking the location and time. Do you find yourself repeatedly checking your phone to make sure you're in the right place? It can be terrifying for those with social anxiety to arrive late or walk into the wrong room, so double or even triple checking information is a must. Even if you know you've got the details right, it can bring you peace of mind just to make sure. It may be the difference between walking in with confidence or hesitation. 2. Rehearsing conversations in your head ahead of time. While this may be a subconscious practice at first, many people who face social anxiety rehearse things they're going to say before they have the actual conversation. This often begins as imagining future conversations or running through a list of important points to discuss. Some people find it more helpful to physically practice having a conversation as well. That being said, not everyone who rehearses their conversations beforehand necessarily has social anxiety. Memorization and practice are both common tools to aid you in feeling nervous, whether you're anxious about public speaking, talking to a specific person, or being social in general. Number 3, avoiding phone calls. Even though it's become a bit of a joke among millennials and Gen Zers who prefer to text, avoiding phone calls is actually fairly common behavior for people with social anxiety. Psychologist Lindsay Sharfstein told Headspace, "Anxiety is typical for all of us. It's a universal emotion that we can all relate to. For the most part, we know that individuals are not afraid of phones. They have phones in their office, backpack, purse. What they're typically afraid of is the evaluation or judgment that may happen when they're on a phone. This may be why some people prefer to text instead of talk on the phone. The more distance one can put between themselves and the other person, the more comfortable they generally feel interacting." Or making phone calls. Have you ever pretended to be in the middle of a call just to avoid talking to someone?
We're not gonna go through all 9, but if you want to look up the video, it basically just lists some of the things that people with social anxiety do, and some of them may seem small to you, but to people with social anxiety, it's like 10 times bigger in their head. Personal experiences. Okay, so yeah, I did struggle with social anxiety like very hard coming into college, because if you were a part of the COVID class that kind of went online, and then the next year you kind of got to go back to school or a choice or whatnot. So I didn't necessarily go back to school. So I went to school, but I went online. So coming into college, it was very hard. Some of the things it's played a role in is I stopped playing piano because like the performances was just too much for me. I will hold back from like trying out from captain or solo spots because of heavy spotlight. I don't really like being out there like that. I avoided large areas. Like I wouldn't go to the caf. I didn't go to parties much. And sometimes like if my class was too big, I didn't go to class. I didn't used to speak up much. I was always afraid to ask for help. I didn't try out for things unless I had a friend with me. I was also scared of like big changes, and I used to have panic attacks. It's just a whole bunch of things. So, and yeah, even in high school, I used to refuse to do presentations because I would get a panic attack and I wouldn't presentate, or present, or whatever word is for that. So coping strategies and treatment. So they have they have cognitive behavioral therapy, which was to help people understand their thoughts and feelings and behavior And the aim of it is to change the negative distortions people with social anxiety have and help them manage their emotional challenges. And then exposure therapy exposes people to their feared objects. Say you're scared of a spider or something like that, or a situation in an activity that is in a controlled environment. The point of that is to help the patient understand whatever it is that they fear isn't as dangerous as it is in their head. And then you also have medication. The medication that says up here, I can't, serotonin, I don't know how, I'm not going to say
Oh,
that.
yeah, selective
But-
serotonin uptake inhibitors.
Yeah. So this medication is like an antidepressant used to treat different various anxiety disorders as well as depression. And then there's self-help things such as like breathing exercises, walking, mindfulness practices, which is like body scan meditation, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like it's like the five senses, touch, feel, all of that other stuff, and journaling. And yes, that is the end. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Anybody else have questions about your final paper? I'm doing in 2 shoots just so you don't hold off till the last minute, but just the idea of doing your first half. I have it in here. It turned off Canvas when I went to your presentation. Let's try back to assignments. So yes, the first half isn't due until next week, but it's using everything we did in class. So like your genogram, your genetics, your family, your stuff you do, the assets you have, the challenges, and how you became you in life. Does anybody want to see the instructions that were in the syllabus on it? It would be these. So, ethnographic study of one's origin. Let's see if it goes full screen. Nope, that was full screen. So, each of you write a case report about your own family. It's all confidential. Students study and cite relevant literature. Actually, the end of the syllabus, there's a bunch of literature you can use. What's easier to me is like you can get more updated stuff if you go to scholar.google.com. I always go into this one. I know it has our list of publications, but I usually go into here. And so like say you want to look up one of the theories that we have, and that's towards the end that it mentions them. I'll open it for you. So use your EcoMap, use the Culturegram. Papers should address significant issues in life, things that you and your family experienced. COVID's a big one because we all experienced that, but like maybe what happened, why you chose college and social work and things of that. It could be issues could include sexuality, drugs, peer pressure, body image, family dynamics. How did issues of diversity affect you? Show how the theories can be used to explain your behavior. So here's some of the different theories. You got psychodynamic, psychosocial, or social learning theory. And then there's an example. You might want to discuss how social learning theory explain your involvement with friends. Here's why I like the scholar.google.com, because you could take just like that snippet and paste it in there and see what articles come up. You can also pick like relevant stuff. Like when you guys get on to graduate school, they're going to want you to cite things APA. This tells you how to do that. So you just copy those and alphabetize it. If you cite within your paper, you would just use like however you pronounce that name, 2021. I wish I had this when I wrote my thesis and my dissertation, but I didn't. So you could even do articles that were only published since last year, or even just stuff from this year. And if it has these, it means it has a full text, like you can click on it and download it and save it or print it. Any of you guys have a Google account? Because if you do, you just sign in. You go to scholar.google.com and you can save the articles. It'll just save whatever article you've used. You can also cite it. And then you can also see related articles to that. So back to the assignment. Paper is 6 to 8 pages, and then use the APA stuff. So, which is mainly the title page. You got the box in the front. So, yeah. This is like under this one. It's also in your syllabus. I know we don't print as much as we used to. I don't think I made any changes. That should just be fine. But if you wanted it in the full syllabus and you click on the syllabus, it should be under syllabus. If it's not, then I'll send it out over announcements. Maybe I've already sent that out. Because the citations are on the actual syllabus I sent out. Probably it is in the announcements then. Because D2L is tricky. How many of you guys have more online classes as in-person classes? Which one do you like better?
Semesters, I've had nothing but one in-person class because even when I would schedule more, it's like they would just be switched to online.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah, because like.
I don't think they're supposed to do that.
Yeah, so.
It's
not bad, but like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't necessarily like being in class because like I'm a really hands-on person. So like
right.
Sitting in class sometimes can get like, I don't know. I don't necessarily lock in and pay attention as much, but I would like more in-person classes because online they don't like some of them if I email them they won't say anything back. So it's like I'd rather be able to just catch you in person and keep waiting for a response.
Okay. I know that I. So, any questions about the paper? I guess I should say. Does it seem straightforward enough?
You said it's over what we've learned so far.
Ask it one more time.
You said it's over what we've learned so far?
Yeah. So adding in like any of the theories from the PowerPoints.
The PowerPoints.
These?
Like the PowerPoints we've gone over in class.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Sometimes when I open it on like at home,
it won't open.
It like, I don't know, it like clashes. If that makes sense.
I could see it on like different things that make it challenging to open. So
I got a question.
Yeah.
So it's like the final paper is like writing, you said like a case study based on our family members?
Right. It's like your experience growing up, why you became the person you did, even why you chose social work, why you chose this college, things of that nature. So some of this was Erickson's theory is a big one that they use all throughout, but like just like the different ages that come up and things that we do. And I know there was a good description of the Erikson childhood or development theories. The one I usually use is this one. So like our stages of development. This one's
Why wait? Start your MD this May at RosMed and begin.
This can be a good one to use too, just like the
Stage 1. Basic trust versus mistrust.
how loud is that?
As infants, we ask ourselves if we can trust the world, and we wonder if it's safe. We learn that if we can trust someone now, we can also trust others in the future. If we experience fear, we develop doubt and mistrust. The key to our development is our mother. Stage 2. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. In our early childhood, we experience ourselves and discover our body. We ask, is it okay to be me? If we are allowed to discover ourselves, then we develop self-confidence. If we are not, we can develop shame and self-doubt. Both parents now play a major role. Stage 3. Initiative versus guilt. In preschool, we take initiative, try out new things, and learn basic principles like how round things roll. We ask, is it okay for me to do what I do? If we are encouraged, we can follow our interests. If we are held back or told that what we do is silly, we can develop guilt. We are now learning from the entire family. Stage 4. Industry versus inferiority. Now we discover our own interests and realize that we are different from others. We want to show that we can do things right. We ask if we can make it in this world. If we receive recognition from our teachers or peers, we become industrious, which is another word for hard-working. If we get too much negative feedback, we start to feel inferior and lose motivation. Our neighbors and schools now influence us the most. Stage 5. Identity versus role confusion. During adolescence, we learn that we have different social roles. We are friends, students, children, and citizens. Many experience an identity crisis. If our parents now allow us to go out and explore, we can find identity. If they push us to conform to their views, we can face role confusion and feel lost. Key to our learning are our peers and role models. Stage 6. Intimacy versus isolation. As young adults, we slowly understand who we are, and we start to let go of the relationships we had built earlier in order to fit in. We ask ourselves if we can love. If we can make a long-term commitment, we are confident and happy. If we cannot form intimate relationships, we might end up feeling isolated and lonely. Our friends and partners are now central to our development. Stage 7. Generativity versus stagnation. When we reach our 40s, we become comfortable, use our leisure time creatively, and maybe begin contributing to society. Our concern is generativity. If we think that we are able to lead the next generation into this world, we are happy. If we did not resolve some conflicts earlier, we can become pessimistic and experience stagnation. People at home and at work are now who influences the most. Stage 8. Ego integrity versus despair. As we grow older, we tend to slow down and begin to look back over our lives. We ask, how have I done? If we think we did well, we develop feelings of contentment and integrity. If not, we can experience despair and become grumpy and bitter. Time to compare us with mankind. Erik Erikson was a German-American psychologist who, together with his wife Joan, became known for his work on psychosocial development. He was influenced by Sigmund and Anna Freud and became famous for coining the phrase identity crisis. Although Erikson lacked even a bachelor's degree, he served as a professor at Harvard and Yale. This video was made by
So that's
minutvideos.com.
one theory that's still used a lot, even on like some of the practice tests or the licensure tests. We try to get you guys like practice tests to pass the licensure exam by your junior and senior year. Actually, Dr. Jackson teaches some of those. How many of you want to know where you want to do your internship? Like what population you want to work with? Kids or adults?
Oh, kids.
Okay. Any certain age? Like,
I'm not sure yet, honestly.
okay.
I'm trying to find an intern for the summer to stay in Ohio and work with kids. So I'm thinking about doing like a summer camp out here, but I'm not sure yet. Because I'm kind of applying kind of late.
Is some of the places you want to be school or more like the early head start or?
So the thing is, I need to stay in Ohio for summer.
Yeah.
So I would have to do like a summer camp so that I can have somewhere to stay.
Right.
But I know I plan to work in a school.
Okay.
But I can't really do an intern in a school right now.
Did you look up the ones that are like Stepping Stone Center or Camp Allen or any other
I might have looked
camps?
at Stepping Stone.
Okay. Like, could it be anywhere in Ohio or do you want to be in this area?
It can really be anywhere. But I was trying to stay close to this area because I had something to do at the school or something.
Anybody else know where you'd want to work or what population you want to be working with?
I want to start off with kids, but I want to gradually get into like adults.
That's a good way to do it. I know our comfort is more like with people that are maybe similar age or younger because we bring our experience into it. And I know for me, that was important. I did kind of right out of the gate work with a homeless population on my internship, but I did like kind of stepping up from adolescents, kids, then to adults, and now kind of death and dying. So I've done like a lot of the age changes as I've gotten older. It's cool to see the kids' motor development. So this chapter in Ashford mentions the changes are gradual. 7 to 8 year olds are more interested in sit down games. That would actually be nice because our kids are all over the place right now. We mentioned physical activity is declining, especially in girls. Movement and skills can influence the extent of participation in culture. I think movement is huge to make sure to keep up at all kinds of many ages because we just aren't doing that as much with all these devices and screens. I kind of had them growing up. We got Nintendo in 1986. Then we got like Sega Genesis in 1989. And, you know, we always watched cartoons and TV, but it is different now. You guys have quite a bit that's electronic and online. I know we mentioned and went through some of the recognizing emotions, expressiveness, understanding the emotion. We were saying how like as the adult, we got to teach kids the emotion and what they're feeling and how to maybe breathe through it or different ways to work through it. We also did physical playmates, and then in adolescence you had more independence. Definitely some self-efficacy stuff. It's hard to say, self-efficacy. So believe in your own abilities. The looking glass theory, there's research that shows children's evaluations for themselves resemble the way other people's perceive them. So if you're like telling kids, like if you're a Debbie Downer to begin with and you're bringing up kids stuff in front of them, like, man, you could do that better. Quit doing that. Like they mention positive language, like, could you try to do this? Like if you're wanting them not to do something, use more positive language of what they should do. Because sometimes they don't know otherwise what they could do, what they should do, what they can do. And you're telling them no all the time, and they're just going to kind of be challenged by that. So some child behaviors checklist, internalizing problems. So acting out, the internalizing is like interstate problems. The two most common are ADHD and depression we had mentioned in the last class. So the most common is ADHD. So almost 10% of kids get the diagnosis of ADHD, and then 3 times as boys. So I guess it's like, I almost want to say 6% of girls, but then 13% of boys. Maybe that would be a way to break it down. But it has the excessive motor activity. It has impulsiveness, inattention. So the consequences are like poor academics, interpersonal difficulties. We mentioned something to do with like the waves coming from cell phones are screwing up our brains. I don't know how else to break it down. Like there's research talking about it, but there's like radio frequencies that go through it. I still plug in my phone and set it next to me. I know they've had all like concern warnings that you're going to catch your bed on fire, or it might mess you up, or cause cancer in your pocket, and what about the headphones? They have the same RFID, the radio frequency. I forget what the ID stands for. We have so many waves running through our brain. There is some research showing it's making it harder for us to concentrate. It's not an easy solution to that because we got shit everywhere. I know they've even said don't put cell towers on schools because kids are even getting that. There's mention of banning cell phones from schools, at least, K through 12 where you're under 18, because a lot of your development happens then. I don't know where they're going to get with that, as I'm sure the cell phone lobby is huge.
Well, in our city, they have the kids put their phones in these pouches.
Do they?
And then they lock or something like that. And I don't know how it works.
Which city is it?
Dayton.
It's not a bad idea. So is it all Dayton public schools?
I think so.
Or is it like the private Catholic and?
I don't think any of the Catholic schools or
Okay.
the private schools are doing it. But mostly the public schools, but kids find a way to get into stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's also a huge thing. Like they market towards us, they track our location on it, they find the shit we want to buy, they send you the best price on it, they advertise to you. Like there's so many ways that our brain is controlled by these clicks on the internet too. Like they follow our every move, even when we try to avoid it. It's big money. So advertisers, all of the above. So, they even mentioned time with peers is up, time with parents down, and that includes devices. So you're like, I guess you guys came up in the age where you would just like start talking to people on devices now, like mostly. Is that it? Like since you were 7, 8, 9, 10, I don't even know when that starts. Like,
We've had a house phone.
yeah. Where you just like remember the numbers and dial them.
Yeah, it was like a cord.
Right. When did you get your own devices or accounts to like email them on Facebook or send them a message on Instagram?
I had a
Or
phone late. I didn't get my first phone until like 7th grade, but I had
Okay.
an iPod.
Okay. Right. Yeah. You can talk on those too. Aren't kids getting them? Like, I know my kids already have these stupid pads from Amazon. I'm sure they're already like, I've seen weird ass purchases too. So I don't know if we can lock it down better because I always like contest it, but then I see it pop back up again. So I don't know if like my 3 and 4-year-old know how to click on the better puzzle that has more complicated things to do and they charge you fucking $5 for it. Like every time they do the puzzle, I don't know, but I'm trying to like, I guess put that on lockdown how I can. I do want them to have kind of more hands-on puzzles, like, just stuff that's not so electronic, almost the way Montessori education is done. What was the earliest any of you had a phone or account or talked to friends? Sixth grade, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think sixth grade.
Do they do any protections to like save you guys from like any bad things out there? You know what I mean? Like pornography or.
Quite honestly, I didn't know what pornography was till seventh grade.
But that's an early age to know.
It is an early.
You know what I
age to
mean?
but
Like
it was, well, for the people I was around. Apparently, it was late.
right.
Yeah, so I didn't.
I mean, we would have seen maybe like what they call as a Playboy magazine back in the day. You find a stash of some like creepy dad's magazines that had them like stashed around.
Yeah, I'm more so learned about it in school. Like somebody brought it up, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that?
Right.
It wasn't like I found it on my phone or anything.
So they could open it at school even though. Or on their phone at school.
They was talking about it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You know, what's the earliest exposure and like, is it training our brain? Is it getting it wired a certain way? Because I think it's the next PowerPoint they get into. Also, ovulation only did often used to occur 16, 17, 18. Now it's getting at 10, 11, and 12. That's crazy. Because you can get pregnant at 10. I think that's fifth grade. I don't know what the earliest pregnancies are, but it's like, whoa. Like you can't even take care of yourself at that age, let alone take care of somebody else. So that's where it can be challenging for society in general. Oh yeah, we did hit that one last time. I know we were like halfway through. So peer relations. There's a lot going on with that. So poor peer relations are associated with discomfort, anxiety, general unwillingness to engage. Children can master their aggressive impulses within the context of peer relations. Let's see if the research, usually Ashford tries to cite research. I know this is 2018, so it's a little bit old, but it's still the same. Children who are rejected by their peers are at greater risk for delinquency, school dropout, and mental health. Friendships are critical because they do provide opportunities for learning. So parental discipline strategies. So you got power assertive, love withdrawal, and induction. Power assertion strategies increase children's aggressive tendencies. Like if you're smacking them and beating them or whatever the challenge may be, they tend to have that response then to others. Also, there is love withdrawal, that it's associated with more anxiety because they want to see, their development happens quite frequently. Most of it 2, 3, and 4, your brain development, like you're getting millions and billions of neurons, like all the stuff you're learning outside, the way grass feels, the way sun is, the way food can make you feel. Induction is the last one. It's an important parental strategy because it helps children develop internal moral standards. So effective parenting training programs, there are quite a few. Like they have, as a social worker, we could run something that's called PCIT. It's parent-child interaction training. PCIT, that was like innovative when I was starting out. But what that involves is like you might be behind the glass window like we have upstairs, and you have the parent has a bug in their ear and like they're working with the kid, and maybe they're like playing with a toy or eating a meal and they spill stuff everywhere, and the parent's like, God damn it, I told you not to, and you're like, whoa, hold on, like take a minute, say, let's just clean this up, like let's make sure things are, and just retraining their brain on how to handle stress, anxiety, things of that nature, because it comes up a lot. stressors that occur with divorce. So more than half of us will experience divorce. So like second divorces are like 60%, or second marriages. And I think third marriages are 70%. So there's definitely a lot more. So with life changes, there's hostilities between parents, distraught custodial parent. There's loss of relationship with a non-custodial parent. There's parents dating and then remarriage. So then the consequent effects are like sadness, anger, loyalty conflicts, anxiety put in the roles of parent, co-parent to the custodial parent. You've also got self-blame, low self-esteem, depression. So a lot of things that come up with those. Also, competitive feelings with parents' new partner, fear of loss of parents' affection, or even curiosity for older children. Even like wondering about the parents' sexuality. Then social dimension. So the schools, there's 5 standards that promote positive learning outcomes, and that's joint productive activity, language and literacy development, contextualization, like connecting schools to children's and students' lives, then challenging activities and instructional conversation. Some barriers that low-income or minority students face in the system can be low parental or teacher expectations for school performance, or a lack of culturally relevant materials. We've even been working on that in some of the books that we have purchased more recently. We are accredited through 2029, but we're going to start redoing some of our, like updating our stuff, because we have about 12 courses, 4 electives, and just want to make sure everything's up to date with 2025 standards. Most of the stuff is similar, but some of those things do come up that will change. Any questions at this point? Let me see here. Oh yeah, see, they do still ask them on the LSW exam. So Eric Erickson's psychosocial stages. You guys take that when you graduate, but you can take it as early as the final semester when you graduate. So you can take it early if you want to. And there's quite a bit on this. I know Dr. Jackson, we're actually going to try to create a course about passing the test with her also. So let me see if there's any other good ones that I wanted to hit on before we finish. Any questions on this stuff so far? Oh, it was ecological theory. That's what I wanted. So this is one that I often have you guys use in this paper because it's a good one. It's not mentioned, in the instructions, but this is the theory my whole counseling program was mimicked after. So I want to make sure. I think this is it. But this is looking at the holistic person. So the way you develop, the things you're exposed to.
A young psychologist appeared before the U.S. Congress with a mission. It was a time when most people thought that the reason poor people stayed poor was a matter of biology and had nothing to do with the environment they grew up in. The psychologist, Yuri Bronfenbrenner, wanted to change that and convince the world that to help those less fortunate, we also needed to change their surroundings. But did he succeed? Bronfenbrenner's ecological system theory conceives that a child is influenced by 5 ecological forces. First comes the microsystem of family and friends that affect the child directly. Second are the forces of the connections between the people around the child, parents with teachers and teachers with peers. Then there are links between social settings that do not directly involve the child, such as the father with his boss, the peers with their parents, and the teacher with the principal. Next is the overarching culture, religion, and social norms that influences all others. And lastly, there is time, which changes everything over the course of one's life. Children are born into a microsystem that influences the child's experiences directly. Children from unfortunate backgrounds are more likely to experience problematic family structures, even if it's simply for the fact that parenting is more difficult if you are poor. They also encounter more negative situations at school or bad influences through friends. Consequently, a child that grows up in a negative microsystem will find it hard to succeed. The mesosystem represents the interconnections between the elements that surround the child. For example, the relationship between the father and the school teachers. If the father doesn't get along with a teacher, the child might suffer. The exosystem involves the links between social settings that do not involve the child. For example, a child's experience at home can be influenced by their parents' experiences at work. If the mother loses her job, there might be more arguments with the father, resulting in changes in their interaction with the child. The macrosystem describes the overarching culture that influences all other systems, such as a child's geographic location and ethnicity. Intelligent people who happen to live in bad places are more likely to move to better ones, but that also means that they are more likely to be strangers in a richer society. So, regardless of the child's biological potential or upbringing, on a macro level, he or she may still be at a disadvantage. The chronosystem refers to changes in the child and the environment over time. As the child grows up, the parents may stop loving each other and divorce, which can be traumatic for an 8-year-old boy. 5 years later, he may have come to terms with how things turned out. But when the boy turns 16, his mom's new boyfriend moves into their tiny apartment, and things get difficult again. Bronfenbrenner, who was influenced by Lev Vygotsky and Kurt Lewin, convinced the US Congress that a child's prospect is not genetically predestined, but is the result of the larger environment they happen to be placed in. Children who grow up in unfortunate social structures, therefore, need a form of support that not only reaches their families, but also elements of their community. Bronfenbrenner's theory helped form the Head Start program in 1965, a government program that has served more than 35 million poor children since. Decades later, Bronfenbrenner and Stephen Sessi proposed an extension of this theory, called the bioecological model. This new model recognizes gene-environment interactions and acknowledges the role of heritability, but adds that genes themselves are under the influence of the environment. In other words, the process of heritability varies in a magnitude of potentials. How much a child can make of the potential they inherit depends on the ecological environment. Bronfenbrenner made a critical contribution to our realization that parent-child relationships do not exist in a social vacuum, but are embedded in the larger structures such as community, society, and culture. In order to develop well, he allegedly said, every child needs at least one adult who is irrationally crazy about him or her. Now it's your turn. Make 5 circles, draw yourself in the center, and add a timeline at the bottom. Then put all the people, institutions, and forces that affect you through the 5 different systems. On the timeline below, you can add some major events from the past and those you expect in the future. Can you tell how the 5 forces are shaping your life? To read more about the topic or download the video without background music, visit sproutschools.com.
So that's ecological theory. That's one you could also use. If you want any other ideas on theories to use for your paper, I could give you guys some. I want to see if there's definitely quite a bit on child trauma too, but I wanted to kind of get into that on Thursday. Anybody else know of anyone who needs to present before we get into the finals paper outline and then turn in the final paper? It's crazy we're done in like a month. It's crazy. What's that?
This year one was long but fast.
Yeah, it has been
I don't
crazy.
say it was like fast because a lot happened this year.
Right. Yeah, it seemed to go for real pretty fast. So, well, cool. That's all I've got, unless if you all had a question. Give you some time to work on that now.
But your attendance sheet.
If someone has a piece of paper, and if not, comment on YouTube. Yeah.
How do you start on like the paper? Like, how would you working and starting?
I would start using your genogram and ecomap, like your family history and how you grew up, and you could just go chronological. Like I grew up in this neighborhood, I was influenced by these friends, I had something on here.